Disney used to have that past magic about them in the old days. We really could feel the adventure as you watch some of the rolling moves, like the original versions of the Jungle Book, Peter Pan, or Lady and the Tramp. Now, in the recent years, as Disney has made what they call modern adaptations or remakes of the original movies, they have sort of been out of touch with what people really want, which has been the case with movies such as the new versions of The Little Mermaid and Peter Pan. But now, with the new Snow White version, they have basically dug their own grave financially, and finally a lot of people are waking up to call out their bullshit. Being the lowest rated movie on the B, even low rated than movies such as Dragon Ball Evolution, it really shows how far down Disney has fallen in the charge for inclusion actors and the agenda profile of female empowerment. Just like the new versions of Peter Pan and The Little Mermaid, what they have ended up with here is a total disaster, and it's a lifeless movie where you never feel the adventure apart from when Rachel Zegler is not on screen. I think also movie reviewers like myself, movie critics and other directors alike, need to stand up against this bullshit without any filter, and that's exactly what my review today is going to accomplish. To me, actually, Snow White is the worst movie ever made, even worse than that awfully boring movie Blade Runner 2049, because at least there was a purpose there. This one is just made as a desperate attempt to make Rachel Zegler into a star and a voice for female empowerment, where they adapt an already iconic story into a lifeless character and never feels like a real princess. The story, just like Peter Pan or The Little Mermaid, where the last one fared way better than this one, are also stories that never needed a remake. Same goes for this story. We feel Disney is completely out of touch with everybody. Why not develop original characters instead of race swapping all the time? And do we need to go there? Yes, we need to go there. Rachel Zegler may be more of a mixed woman rather than a black one, but she's certainly not really what you think of when you say the word Snow White, just like Halle Bailey is not really what you think of when you think of The Little Mermaid. Naturally, what Disney tries to do is to lift these young women with a dorky skin and make them into superstars as poor after woke agenda that they have been on for years now. If we talk generally about a performance, there's nothing here that really makes you think it is of a grand character. Actually, the first 7 minutes before she enters the screen, where Emilia Forcher plays the young version of Snow White, she is actually the one that does the best performance in the movie. That kind of says it all, as she is just a minor part of it. Like the young Furiosa actor in the movie Donna Taylor-Joy from last year, where the same case happened with Lila Brown, where she gave a better performance than the lead actor in the younger version of the character. During those 7 minutes is actually the only time you feel a little bit of the adventure, but of course Disney needs to throw in a host of diverse people with different skin color, where actually more of them are black than white. I feel personally Rachel Zegler sings in a too desperate voice that makes it unbearable to listen to. That she's molded into being a leader instead of a usual princess that needs to rely on someone is a well predicted sort of change, but not one that makes it into a better movie. Actually, her arrogance reminds me of Zendaya and Dune, but this performance is even worse, as it seems very unrealistic that the princess without outside knowledge of the world suddenly becomes a leader and stands up to the evil queen. Secondly, what is up with the apple? In the original story, she was out for hundreds of years before a prince came to kiss her. In this story, she is out for like 20 minutes, and if the apple had been poisoned, she should have suffered a lot more pain. So the story is taking these wild artistic adaptations that does not make any sense. She is also very angry when she is offered help from this robber, as she wants to be a strong, independent princess that can fix everything herself. And she shackles out those princess problems. Naturally, then Rachel Zegler just needs to be this tough, badass female character, which is so generic, and she may manage to act tough, but that does not make her feel like a princess that is supposed to be kind. At first, I also thought Gal Gadot did a better performance than her in this movie as an evil queen, but then I realized she is just as uninspired in a performance as the evil queen, where I don't know, it just seems lifeless, and it is not only backlash over different views from these two actors, where one of them supports Palestine and the other one Israel. It is also because of their lackluster performance. Then again, of course, Gal Gadot acts quite similar in every role, and the only real good performance she has is as Wonder Woman, because there she acts a bit different than what she usually does. In addition to the other things I have addressed, we have to talk about the visual aspect of the movie. because the camera looks very cheap, which is laughable when they have actually used between $240 to $270 million on this movie. Right now, of course, have turned into a box office bomb, and people have finally woken up. The dwarfs are reimagined, and they look AI generated, or made by CGI, or whatever, and so do all those other animals. It does not look fresh, it does not look visually great. It looks like something where they have drained the budget and made a whole movie with AI technology. Of course, I cannot confirm it is the case 100%, but the movie looks cheap. Like I said, and Disney have really stepped with their feet firmly in the vocal broke well, where they perhaps are trying to climb onto Rachel Zegler at any cost. As for the singing and everything, I'm not sure about that compared to the original movie, but I feel at times there's a bit too much singing in the movie and not too much happening. Of course, the real problem is also that there's too much agenda in the singing, where I feel it is all about marking Snow White as a leader instead of a real princess. Mark Webb has in this case directed a movie where he took a chance and joined the woke crusade, but it will be forever known as his worst movie, and somewhere down the line he might regret being at the helm of this movie, because it is certainly the worst movie he has ever made, and I will give this one a 1.8 out of 10, and yes, it is probably the worst movie I've ever seen, just in case if you guys were wondering, and I will say it's the worst movie ever made.